The Oculus Quest 2 has dominated the VR industry since its release. This all-in-one VR headset doesn't require a PC or game console. However, it is starting to age, which is just among the number of reasons to avoid the Oculus Quest 2. With the rise of newer headsets that have started to outshine it, from bugs and glitches to the simple fact that it is uncomfortable to wear, only adds to the problem. Not to mention, there are still very few VR games out there, so not many people get used to wearing their headsets regularly due to the lack of consistent gaming. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss another great video like this one. Now, let's check out some of the reasons you should avoid an Oculus Quest 2. The Oculus Quest 2 has a fairly extensive game library. However, you can only play games designed for the Oculus Quest 2 and listed in the Oculus Quest store. These include hit titles like Beat Saber and Golf Plus, but it leaves out other games that are exclusive to Steam or the PSVR. Additionally, you can always use the Oculus Quest 2 with a PC to play PC-based titles. While the Oculus Quest 2 has a lot going for it, the headset is incredibly uncomfortable for long periods of use. Most gamers only use the headset for short periods as it is uncomfortable and can lead to motion sickness. But the Quest 2 has a lot of apps for entertainment and movie watching, which could leave some using the headset for hours at a time. The biggest problem is that the headset is pretty heavy, and all that weight pulls against the wearer's face. Even worse is that the head straps don't do much, and they are pretty difficult to adjust properly. The Oculus Quest 2 has been available for a few years now, but that doesn't mean it's free from bugs and technical issues. Surprisingly, many of the problems arise just from using the Meta's apps or user interface and have nothing to do with game developers. While it isn't uncommon to experience bugs in new VR games, most of the time they are quickly addressed by the developers. VR headsets are still expensive, despite their prices coming down over the years. The Oculus Quest 2 starts at $400 for the 120GB model, while the larger 256GB model is $500. That is a lot of money, especially considering that the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X also cost $500. With that said, it's important to keep in mind that the Oculus Quest 2 does essentially have a computer built in. The Oculus Quest 2 has only been out a few years, but it's already feeling pretty dated. In recent years, it hasn't felt like technology progressed rapidly, but VR tech certainly has. The processor inside the Oculus Quest 2 is a major limiting factor, slowing more advanced game development. But other factors like limited controller input are also inhibitive for some games. One of the biggest complaints among Oculus Quest 2 users is that the battery life doesn't last long enough. The Quest 2 is a relatively small device with a lot of processing power, meaning there isn't that much room for a larger battery pack inside. Making matters worse is that the internal battery is not upgradable or replaceable. The good news is that you can charge the Oculus Quest 2 while also using it, although that may defeat a point of wireless headset for some, but at least it's a backup option. Another reason to avoid the Oculus Quest 2 is it isn't much more than a novelty to most owners. There's often conjecture on whether the VR technology is the future of gaming and entertainment, or if it will fade like 3D TVs. Despite numerous companies getting to the VR market, consumers still aren't fully buying in. It's not uncommon for consumers to wait a little while to adopt a product as they are understandably wary. However, the original Oculus Rift headset came out over a decade ago, so the technology had plenty of time to catch on. The final reason you may want to avoid the Oculus Quest 2 is that the Oculus Quest 3 should come out this year. Despite persistent rumors, it looks like the headset is on track for a late 2023 release. Not to mention, Apple's VR headset that was already released earlier this year has already flooded the market. There is a lot to look forward to in the future of VR. We hope this video was helpful in your decision on purchasing an Oculus Quest 2 or waiting a little while. Don't forget to visit historycomputer.com to learn more. Thanks for watching.